So I'm going to use this chapter to briefly touch on case interviews. These are the case interviews that are used at Asana, LinkedIn, Lyft, Uber, and Intuit. And ultimately what these purposes of these cases are is one, for the company to get ideas because it's usually design a product for the company, and also basically just to weed out as many people as possible easily through these cases. That's the point. And really the way you want to look at these cases is this is going to be a product interview on paper. So for your case, you want to include comprehending the question, addressing the users, addressing the pain points of the users, your solution, how metrics you would measure for your solution, and ultimately, I think you should include a short launch strategy, such as how you would go to market, where, and marketing to really differentiate yourself. And acceptable formats for these cases are, one, you could do it in a Word doc, which I've seen one of my friends did in a Word doc, and she got through the case round for both Uber and Lyft. And then also, I think really the best way to do it though is putting it in a nice PowerPoint format that really just lays it out nicely and concretely. So the tip to really doing well in these cases is you don't want to try to do something too big. If you pitch like an entire new platform or product, you can get lost in the details and it can become overwhelming. And that's not what they want to see. One of the things they really want to see is creativity. So definitely pitch an idea that they're not currently doing and doesn't actually exist on the market. I actually didn't get past the Lyft interview case round. And the reason they cited was because they thought my idea was too similar to Zipcar. And to be fair, I didn't know what Zipcar was ahead of time. So really look at what the existing solutions are and try to think of something unique. That's why ultimately I think one of the best ways you can do is prove upon. So if it's like, how would you improve Uber or invent a product for Uber, really look at ways you can improve Uber, because then it's going to be, if you create something, Lyft might already be doing it, or there might be another startup coming out there. So I'm more for improving something. But again, this is really going to be you rehashing a product interview but in the case. The last two things I want to touch on for this are, one, this is a pro tip that I saw a handful of people do, but this is really helps you stand out. When you're doing your user pain points, include actual quotes, because you get time outside to do this. It's not like an interview on the spot. So honestly, you could even make these up, but just kind of including user feedback. Like I talked to one girl who actually ran a survey to find pain points on Uber, and that's what she used to craft her solution. And I think that is probably the best way you could do it, because you're taking an actual existing pain point and you're including the data that you got. And I think that is what I suggest you do, is actually talking to people to find a real pain point and then including user quotes and the data you collected in your case. The second one is they're going to tell you to spend 4 hours, and I talked about this in another chapter, but most of the people I talk to that do really well in these cases spend more than 4 hours. So it's not really about the time you're putting in. Like, you could honestly do it in 2 hours. It's about the quality. So don't put in time for the sake of putting in time, but really do it well, and they're going to appreciate that. And that's how you're going to get past these case rounds. Also, one more point. You're most likely going to have an interview where you discuss the case, so you have to really know your case inside and out and know it incredibly in depth. So one of the ways you can practice this is just have your friends read your case and just tear it apart and ask very challenging questions to defeat your case, and that's how you can prepare for those interviews.